Yo, so Cafecito Time candles and melt are now available, guys. The smell is unbelievable. And I'm not just saying this, but my house smells so damn good. Every time I come in, everyone's like, are you making coffee? I'm like, nope, it is my new candle. So exclusively just for our listeners, if you use HERR 10, you will get 10% off our melts and the candle. I like them both, so I can't suggest one or the other. I have the melts upstairs in my room, and the candle burns downstairs. So make sure you get yours exclusively only at Twin Candle Co. Make sure you use HERR 10. This episode is brought to you by Major Beauty. Your girl is about to hook you up because y'all know how I do my lashes all the time. And Major Beauty is going to offer $20 off your initial full set of lashes, and the first 6 months you can also use this promo code HERR20 and you can get $20 off your membership, because she does offer membership services. So she not only does eyelashes, she also does permanent makeup, those new henna eyebrows. If you're not ready to go full force on the tattooing of the eyebrows, you can try them out by getting this henna stuff done. I haven't tried it because y'all know I got microbladed eyebrows, but I do use Kiana for my lashes. She is my new lash tech. I'm loving her. She's great, and she's super duper professional, and you're going to love her little studio. So check her out, The Major Beauty. Make sure you use promo code HERR20 to get a discount off your full set and your membership for the next 6 months, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another HERR Lounge podcast. So much to talk about today. But first we're going to start with a quote, and maybe y'all know where I'm going to go with this. So let's go. Whatever you accept about yourself cannot be used against you. Be willing to own your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. The good and the ugly are all part of your story. You never know who you can inspire by being your authentic, unapologetic self.
You want to reread that one again?
Yes.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you know.
Whatever you accept about yourself cannot be used against you. Be willing to own your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. The good and the ugly are all part of your story. You never know who you can inspire by being your authentic, unapologetic self.
That's good. By the way, Marisol's coming from a workout, so she still got that
Yes.
the adrenaline and everything flowing.
I'm like talking really fast. Even right now, do you ever use this app called Marco Polo?
No, I've heard about it, but I've never used
So
it.
that's how my girlfriend and I keep in touch, because sometimes we just can't sit there and have conversations on the phone, you know? So we'll just, like, if something's going on or whatever, we send these messages. We watch them whenever you have time. It's like voice messages with face, like video.
Okay, gotcha.
And so then it's just like, peace out, you know? And
It's
then
like an Instagram DM with video?
Kind of with video, and then you just kind of reply back and forth as whenever you have time.
Yeah.
Versus like, gosh, I can't talk right now. I'm going to call you back a little bit later. So that's how we keep in touch. Anyway, it's funny because I was sending her one, and I felt like I was talking so fast, but it was because I'm on this energy. We are out of coffee at my house, and I was going to go work out, guys, and I'm on this Bang. Shout out to Bang in case they want to sponsor. Hello.
Dude, you need
I'm
to do
a
a video
big
like
fan.
that Bang Girls do.
Well, I know, but I can't dance like do the shuffle like that one girl that does the shuffle when she does the bangs. Have you seen that?
I haven't, but
oh my god, and she does it in a bikini. I don't know if she
we need
still
we
does
need a
it.
HERR bikini.
I know.
We
I
might
was
as well
like-
doing a shuffle out there
I was like, okay,
for all the moms. You know what I'm saying?
well, let me get to that body first, boo boo, because this body, they get scared. That's what I'm working towards. Anyway, shout out to Christy. She joined me this weekend on my women's conference at church.
So tell, is this what we want to start talking about?
Yeah, this is why I did this unapologetic quote. You know, everybody's always quick to judge whenever you try to use God or religion for anything, right? It's like, don't bring religion into politics, but politics is in the Bible. So that's just the thing. It's just naturally it's in there. And, I think a lot of times you have those who I like to call fans of religion, right? Versus really just serving the Lord and doing that, right? Because you have those they're super judgy and will look at you when you're doing something because they feel they're more holy than you because they don't miss a day of church, or, you know, I don't know, but there's a bunch of those, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you know some of them.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times people, guilty, also myself, of, oh, I don't want to deal with religion, like, because childhood, right? It'll do something to you to where you're just like, yeah. Just like I said, I knew that I wanted to go back to church, but I knew I didn't want to go back to the Pentecostal church. You know what I'm saying? So, but I knew that eventually one day, and I, like I said in the past, I always seeked. I tried to go back to church. I couldn't deal with it. Did I ever tell you the story about this one Pentecostal church I went to, and the pastor was calling everybody out?
No.
While he was up there preaching? It was crazy. I used to work with this girl, and just on a conversation, I realized, because I didn't know this about her, she said something and it was weird. It was almost like a Pentecostal connection. And I said, "Are you Pentecostal?" And she's like, "Yeah, how do you know?" I was like, "Oh my God." Just
Without saying anything, you just asked her that?
yeah. I was like, just hearing you talk, I said, I just got it. I said, "You know what? I've been wanting to go back to church. I'm telling you, this is not the first time I've been wanting to go back to church." So during this time, I was probably, my dad was still alive. So I must have been like 24, around there. And so I wanted to go back to church. And so then I said, let me try hers because it's Spanish too. And I like the Spanish church, right? It's almost like, I feel like you feel it better. It's almost like watching a soccer game in Spanish versus in English. I just don't feel it in English, the soccer game. But if I hear it in Spanish, you know, it
It's like an
feels,
auctioneer.
Totally. It's like way better. And that's kind of how I felt about going to an English church. I felt like it was not enough in there, you know?
All right.
So I said, let me try this church. They're a small church. So they were out of a gymnasium at a school in A-Leaf, right? So I was like, okay, cool. So I go on a Tuesday night on top of that. And so I go and people are there. So people are, it's almost like it was kind of a service / Bible study. So people showed up and, you know, some people were in their work clothes because they're coming straight from work. So you'd see like a lot of these construction men just come in like their shirts were dirty and paint. You know what I'm saying? But I just, when I saw that, I was like, man, talking about like, you just really are not going to miss church. I really found, it's almost like someone who doesn't miss the gym. You know, I found it very like, wow, that's awesome. But there was a lady there who was wearing like a mini dress, and the pastor did not have a problem calling her out, saying like, this ain't the club. Like, why are you here this way? And I just like, literally, Rob, I had my Bible and I thought we were about to get started. And I'm like this, and then he says that, and I just look up, and I'm like, did he just call? There's no way the pastor of the church I grew up in is the nicest man ever. Okay,
A little too nice.
so he would have never said anything like that. Never, even if you were the biggest sinner in the world. It was the weirdest thing about him. He never made you feel like, you know, that kind. Never.
Just that look, just the eyebrow, one eyebrow raise.
It was more of a, I'm so glad to see you kind of thing. Like, good for you. Whatever it is you're doing to get closer to God. And I think that's what a good pastor is, in my opinion. You know, not one that's going to sit there and be like, Mira, he finally came today to church. You know what I'm saying? So I'm there and he calls her out and I'm like tripping. I'm just like staring at my Bible now at this point. I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know where we're going with this. Well, then these kids start running around, right? Mind you, before the service started, he did say all children ages blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah will be going to the back. You know, that's where the child care is. And so I guess the children that were not of age had to sit with their parents. Well, this kid starts running around. So then he gets into parenting. We weren't even talking about that. And he calls the mom out and says that part of being a good Christian is being able to parent your kids. And they know that this is a place of the Lord and they should not be running around, right? Which I get it, because he was running up and down the altar. I mean, yeah, like tell your kids something.
Yeah.
But also you as a pastor, you don't have to like, now you're saying that she's not a good parent. That's how I took it. It's me maybe being sensitive. I'm not a parent, but I just kind of felt like.
At the time you weren't a parent.
Yeah, at the time I was a parent. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, who are you to tell this woman she's not a good parent? Like, it's a kid. it's kind of hard to control a kid. I mean, you know that, like to keep them to stay still, to listen to something that they really don't understand or care about. The Bible has to be taught to a child in a child mode. If you're making a child sit there and listen to this grown man say something, it's like, okay, I don't even know what he's talking about, you know?
Yeah.
So now he's talking, you know, he's calling the mom out. I feel so bad for her. Now
I like this guy. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my God. I was so embarrassed for her. So she stands up, grabs her child. So now she's in the back of the gymnasium.
Embarrassed as fuck.
Totally. So I'm like, okay. So eventually I'm sure we're going to get to, you know.
You're like, what am I doing wrong? What's he going to cut me off for?
I'm sure next. So then we start getting into it. The service, you know, he's talking about whatever. I don't even remember at this point. I just remember all the shit he called out because I left there and I called my mom and I was like, never have I ever
I love that game.
Been to a church where a pastor has no filter and is just going to tell you shit, you know? And so then this lady, okay, she was one of the ladies that looked like she might have been like a cafeteria lady because it was kind of one of those uniforms, but I wasn't sure where she worked. But now she's falling asleep, right? So she's like, you know, dozing, like, you know, closing her eyes, doing the bop in the head.
You know,
right,
she's tired.
I'm sure. But again, she's trying to do her part and still not missing church. We're talking about a Tuesday night. Most people have to go to work the next day, you know? And so then he's like, well, you shouldn't come to church if you're going to be falling asleep, and, you know, and just calling her out and how, you know, the discipline of going to bed early. And I was just like,
I'm not going to lie. He sounds like Jordan Peterson. He's trying to tell everybody to do better. Be a better parent, get some more sleep, and don't wear these fucking miniskirts.
oh my God. But I mean, you're literally, we're having a discussion about something in the Bible. You just stop and call it out. She's like, I guess she was falling asleep. He noticed it. Bam, stopped what he was talking about, called her ass out. And then she was embarrassed. So now she's like trying her hardest. They kept like coffee in the back of the church. And so she gets up and grabs herself a cup of coffee, you know? But it was like, you know, it was interesting. Never went to a church again after that. It was just like, okay, I don't know where my church is going to be. I don't know when I'm going to find it. But obviously, I might be trying too hard in trying to find the right church. I need to let it come to me, right? Versus me looking and looking and looking. Long story short, this weekend, I went to a women's conference, and the women's conference was really, although it was religious, it dealt a lot with politics and how we as women, right, are basically getting attacked, right? And how you as a Christian woman handles answering to people, you know, when they have their little, you know, super lefty comments to say, right? You know, they talked about abortion. They talked about transgender, and I took notes, and I was in a rush, so I forgot my notebook. But she said something that really resonated, and think about it. She said, one of the speakers said, the recipe in our world has changed. And that was such a great way to put it, right? Because she used the example of a baker. Okay. A baker gives you instructions and it says 1 cup of this, a teaspoon of this, and it's going to bake the nicest and fluffiest cake ever, right? But then you decide like, well, I don't want to make it like that. I'm going to do 2 cups and I'm going to do 3 tablespoons and we'll see what turns out, right?
Shit. It's not cooking. Baking's not cooking. We went from a bakery to a full-blown restaurant kitchen.
You know?
Where you can just add as much spice as you want. You add a little too much spice in one direction, you get a fucked up situation.
So that's her point. It's our recipe has changed. And they're really trying to make it to where we are okay with that recipe, right? You should accept that the recipe has changed.
Yeah. Culturally, yeah. It's all about culture.
Yeah. And so accept it. You know, and you don't have to accept it. That's the thing. You know, you don't have to accept that. Okay, now I have to be okay with the idea of calling a transgender female, right? Or a trans female, right? Mm-hmm. You were a man before, sir. You know? So I don't have to be rude about it. I don't have to be unkind. I don't have to be empathetic. I don't have to be any of those things, right? But you also don't have to find it okay at the same time. But you don't mistreat a person just because you don't agree with what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I think that's what's happening in this world is everybody, I feel, is not okay with something. And I think both sides do it, to be honest with you. Both political sides kind of do it. And it's like either a Republican will call out something about the left and the left will call the right. And, it's a two-way thing. Everybody's always got something to say, right? Because they're right, you're wrong. They're right, you're wrong. And so when I started thinking about it, and basically, so Allie Beth Stuckey was there. And she's articulated, Rob, so well.
She's great. She's got a show on the Blaze. Is it just the Alley?
It's actually called oh my God, Relatable.
Relatable, that's what it is.
And it's very good. If you haven't listened to her podcast, I stumbled across her because it was on the popular, when you're scrolling, it suggested her, I guess because you follow other similar accounts.
On YouTube?
On Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how I discovered her. I didn't have any idea who she was.
She reminds me of like a kindergarten teacher.
Yes. And she also, though, knows her shit.
Yeah.
And this is where I told Pete, I said, I wish that I knew the Bible so well like that, to where when someone has something to say, I can be like, actually, if you go to Ephesians, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It says blah, 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 blah. I've never been, I don't know. I know verses that you've memorized as a kid that you were told when you would go to Bible class and so forth. But I can't say that I can tell you, well, where does it say this? Or, and everything that she said that was happening in the world, she also had the reference in the Bible. And so it was really cool. Both women were great, great, great speakers. I wish that it was open to everybody. So it wasn't just like you had to attend Second Baptist. It was open to anybody. And there were a lot of people who were not of that church who were there. And I think it's, in my opinion, I felt like it's people trying to navigate through all the change.
Oh, yeah.
To try to learn, like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, right? But I do know that I don't agree with that because my morals and my beliefs don't align with that. So why am I finding myself apologizing all the time? So when they were talking about that, Christy was sitting next to me and I said, Christy, and I'm looking in the camera right now. I said, is that not me all the time? Well, I know that's how what you feel, but in my, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm always like in my, and I'm always like having to like.
And it says this all the time before and after podcasts, like, damn, I got to stop apologizing.
I do. And I realized it Saturday. I'm like, bro, I do it more than I think I do. And it's because.
You're a good person.
That's what they said at church. And
yeah,
it was
course.
like, you're a good person. You have morals. You have a good heart. So you don't want no one to think that you're this bad person or that you're a bigot.
Yeah. Or whatever.
Or a racist.
Fill it in.
Or
fill in
what
the
else?
Phobe. Fill in the
Or
phobe,
they
whatever
call
phobe.
you, whatever. Or any phobe. Yeah. And so I was like, I have got to stop. Christy's like, yeah, you have to stop. And it was funny because we were both listening and we're both like, and it's like, we're taking notes and so forth. And it's just like, because she talks about, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't say in the Bible, right? Honor your mom and your mom. It doesn't say honor your dad and your dad, right? And it doesn't say honor the trans woman or honor the trans man or whatever, right? And she was like basically saying love is not love. Love is between a man and a woman. And while I do agree with her, I still have this. The one critique I will have about the seminar is it didn't allow for questions. And so I felt like, and I guess because they didn't want to maybe take someone's Saturday too long, right? But I think if you came, it was because you were wanting to kind of like understand. And I felt like they didn't allow the time for questions. But my thing behind that is, I still don't feel I'm not God. So if two men fall in love with each other, that's their prerogative. I still see it that way. You see what I'm saying? And that's not a very Christian way to look at things because in the Bible, that is incorrect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when she said love is love, I felt like I disagreed with her, because I just kind of felt like, listen, if two females fall in love with each other, I get it as a Christian, it doesn't align with our beliefs and our morals, but who are we to judge it? You see what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, who are they going to answer to? Mm-hmm. Not me, right?
Well, in the interim, they will. If they run into you and you're not about it, and your family's not about it, and they're trying to influence your kids, then
well, if they're influencing my kid, it's different. But I'm saying, if I'm friends with people who are in a same sex relationship. You see what I'm saying?
Doesn't it also feel weird when you have to say that? You have to have a caveat like, I have gay friends and I have black friends, and I have, you know what?
No.
Like, we all have to do that, but now it feels weird saying like, well, yeah, I mean, I have gay friends, like, but
and I never saw anything wrong.
Yeah,
like I guess, like, I'm not saying. I'm saying it's like, I never see it as like, oof, they shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
Like, that's against the Bible. That's who they are. And again, it's not for me to judge. I do what I feel in my heart is right for me and my little family, right? And I follow what I feel in my heart and you know, in my faith as to what my family is going to do. What you and your family are going to do is your business, and it's not my business for me to judge, right? Mm-hmm. But as a person, if you're a wonderful person and I like you and we're cool, then I'm gonna be cool with you. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to like, in my head, I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to be okay with it. But I also don't have to mistreat you. I also don't have a problem with you. It also doesn't mean that we can't be friends. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. Now, we're going to go into the transgender thing, because you guys know that is my absolute obsession, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Fascination.
Yeah, fascination. Because I know you heard of that little boy, Dylan.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Yes. So, does our president not have any clue about the shit that's happening in our world, to where he finds that trans rights is the one thing that is the most important? He invited that little boy to the White House, Rob.
Yeah, I've only seen like 2 clips of the interview where I think he had asked. Let me see if my camera's on me. Let me adjust it real quick. Where he asked, do you like something about how do you feel about states that don't, allow for gender affirming surgeries or whatever? And Biden's just like, well, nobody, no state, no one should prevent that from happening. And he just kind of gives like whatever answer that they wrote on the paper for him to give. But it's just he's totally lost. He does not know what's going on in the country.
Does not. And I was like, sir, do you know that there are more people in Texas right now going into shelters because they cannot afford their rent? But he's discussing trans rights, because that's right now what's important. Yet we have Texans right now who maybe in the past they were struggling, right? Or as some people would say, well, they were already struggling if they're having to struggle. No, ma'am, sir, that's not right. Because if you look at your damn bills, it's like, I've gotten back on a budget for groceries.
Oh, you got to.
I'm back on no, it's like, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes if I'd be like during the week, I'm like, damn, I forgot, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go. And then I'm there and then I'm like, oh, but you know what? I could use this and I could use it. I don't do any of that anymore. It's literally, I'm back to
Basics. What do you need?
Grocery envelopes.
Oh, you're doing the envelope system?
Yes.
Bro, I was talking about that. Dawn and I were talking about this last week. Like, should we just go back to that to make sure we are on
I had to, because, there's certain things that I like from Whole Foods and there's certain things I like from HEB. And so, sometimes you go to Whole Foods and you just start to buy things because, you're going down these aisles, and then it's like, oh shit, that looks good, and so let me try that. I don't really do that at HEB though, but I do it when I go to Whole Foods.
Never do it hungry. Don't go shopping hungry.
So I just thought to myself, like, well, you know what? I've got to get back on these envelopes again, because I'm spending so much on food, and I'm just not going to do this. So I'm back to $200 a week of groceries, and we better make those $200 work. because I can't. Like, we went to the groceries, and I also do it online now. It's less likely for me to go off my list.
Yeah.
Less likely for me to wander. I need this, and that's all I'm getting. I've been staying under the 200, which allows us to, I put it to the side for, the following week or whatever, but trans issues are not what's the number one concern in America right now.
I kind of want to ask you this, since we're talking about
President.
all of it. We're talking about trans issues. We're talking about, love is love, all these kind of things from the conference, and I want to get back to that. ¿Qué pasó?
What's up?
El señor, el jefe. Oh, he's getting something out of the closet.
Ooh, look at them pants on my baby's booty, though.
Bruh.
I mean, come on. I'm going to need you to wear those tonight.
The what? Blue hat case.
I don't know.
I don't think I've seen it in here. I do like them boots. Those new boots too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all like my baby. Y'all can't
He
see
can't
my
see it.
baby.
They're missing.
On
This is
camera.
premium content right here.
I mean, come on.
Patreon.com/her lounge.
Patreon.com. For real.
Hey,
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. The
On that
TIA
booty.
gets Marisol feet pics, and the Her Lounge gets Chingo
booty.
bums. Bum
Booty
pics.
pic.
With the wallet. What y'all want with the wallet?
Oh, you got the long wallet? You got the long wallet? Dude, he needs one of those
Oh, he needs
cowboy
a
long wallets.
Actually, we were going to buy one the other day that said Texas on it. That's funny.
I'm like a poser right now.
Bro, we got, dude, for Christmas.
No cap.
All hat, no cap. We got to get one of those wallets. That'd be
Oh my
hilarious.
God, that's hilarious.
They're actually kind of cool too.
We saw a Texas one with when I went to go meet up. Didn't I leave here because I was like, I got to go meet up with my
Yes.
vendor. She showed them to me because she knows how much I buy a lot of the Texas stuff, and she says I'm one of the few that buys the Texas stuff from her. And
Damn,
she
nobody
showed me
else
those.
shows
Well, I think she has vendors from everywhere,
Okay.
but I guess I'm her person. I don't know. And she showed me this wallet. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. We're doing too much now with the
Going
wallet.
too far.
Yeah.
No, but
anyway,
I was going to say what this all is like. What we're talking about is a conflict between, you have the country as a whole and you have these individual states. Mm-hmm. Understanding the importance of every state having the power that the population wants. Right. I want to get into this later, but did you see the couple of clips of Lena and Alex? The little
they had a debate.
They had like
no.
an informal debate. It was in an office with one person and them two talking about a couple of issues. I'll try to find the video of it. It really went under the radar. But anyway, I say that to say this. What is your, how do you, now that you've been reading about more stuff over the last, let's say 2 or 3 years, and you're seeing how, you peep in game, as Chingo would say, how do you try to navigate it from not having ever paid attention to now I really need to focus on schools and the kids, church and this, mom, womanhood, all these different subjects, right? That is going on around the country, but also here in the state of Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Got to focus on who's in power here and do they align with your values? Mm-hmm. And how do you get it across to friends and family? Or do you fuck with it, right? Or let family and friends get to it on their own the way you did?
So my one aunt attends the same church I do, but in Katy. So I think if anything, we kind of agree on a lot of stuff. My other aunts, there's some things that we'll agree on and then some things we don't agree on, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't discuss it. When we hang out, we don't discuss. Politics has never really been a discussion at our family gatherings ever.
Most people say that though.
We've never discussed it. That's why I don't understand why it's such a problem now with people. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? I was never friends with anybody based on the way they voted or the way that they rolled. You know what I'm saying? It was just we're cool. I like you as a person. You're a good person.
Yeah.
So why not? I didn't feel like we needed to. What do you claim? You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. We're a gang or something. Because now that's kind of how I feel.
Right.
I kind of feel like I'm telling you. So, I went to the baseball game, which was amazing. And now we're on our way to the World Series. So I hope I get invited to one of those games.
As the Discord said, you're going to need a different date if you go to the World Series game. I'm just saying.
A what?
A different date.
A different date.
Yeah.
It's funny because he was like, okay. He goes, okay, now I can watch baseball like this. I'm like, I know, but I guess because I grew up watching it because of my dad. My dad played.
Right.
So we were little already going to the game because my dad was like, oh, well, I got to babysit these daughters of mine. But guess what? I want to go to the game, so y'all finna roll because I'm not missing out.
Let's go.
Let's go. Exactly. So we would go and my dad wouldn't go with any friends. It was just me. It would literally be
That's
just
cool.
us together,
Yeah.
my sister and I and him.
That's awesome.
And it was just like us by ourselves because he wanted to go watch the game. So it was like, because my mom worked on the weekends. 'Cause hairdressers work
Yeah.
on the weekends. You know, those are their busiest days. So it was like, okay, I got to go. But he said, oh, this is how you have to watch baseball live in person. He's like, because on TV, it just seems too boring for me. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's different also when you watch it in person because you feel everyone's energy. They're
Yeah.
so excited. So you hear all the cheering, you know, and then it's like, it's different. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't explain it. But it is a different vibe watching it at home and watching it there.
Motherfucker he was in a Discord while he was in the booth, you know, with y'all at
Yeah.
the game and shit. Everyone's talking shit. And this morning I saw he replied to my comment from last night. He's like, let's fucking go. I was like, don't you try to let's fucking go Astros right now, you fucking poser.
And so, you know, it's funny. My shirt that I have from the Astros was a shirt that was dropped with Victoria's Secret.
What?
They had a whole
10 years ago?
collection. I know that's how old my shirt is, but it's so cute. There's nothing like that because it has bedazzled stuff on it, right? And now I'm so mad I didn't buy the leggings. I thought it was going to be too much.
Yeah.
So I just bought the hat and the shirt.
Man, go to eBay, try to find that shit.
And so now I was telling my sister the other day, I was like, oh, I'm so mad I didn't get the leggings. I was like, I should have bought them that day. Like, I just felt like, oh, I don't want to be too much. And they were doing good, I think, at that time. Because, no. They did a whole thing where it was the Texans, Astros, and the Rockets.
Oh, wow. Victoria's Secret did?
Victoria's pink.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They did it. And so I bought Texan stuff and I bought Victoria's Secret stuff because I thought, oh, yeah, leggings, sports leggings. Yeah, this is the best way to go watch a game. I saw so many girls in heels there. I just wanted to go up to them and ask them, like, how
At the
are
game?
you walking this? I mean, because by the time you find your seat, bro,
Broken toes.
I mean, even at my cutest, I don't think I ever wore heels to a game. You know what I'm saying?
To the rodeo? Hold the rodeo.
I mean, boots.
But
They don't
not
really
heels?
like
Yeah.
regular cowboy boots. I
Yeah.
wouldn't wear. No, I wouldn't even then wear like heels. I just couldn't survive. Actually, I did try to wear heeled cowboy boots, not the thicker, shorter one, but these were heeled, and I remember I was miserable. I was like, somebody take these boots off of me. I felt like my feet had like swell, like from where I was just like because we were at the cook-off.
Oh.
And so, you know,
You're drinking,
you're
you're
drinking,
standing.
and it was freezing. It was a year that it was freezing. It was so cold. It was uncomfortable.
Anything to look cute.
Anything to look cute. And I never again. I was like, okay, this is why I don't do this. I forgot about this.
I know we're going to get back to what we were talking about, but you know, the World Series starts on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's 7 games. I hope we don't have to go, obviously, all 4. I want to sweep them the way they swept the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. But the Texans are playing a Thursday night football game against the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday, and we're playing the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series.
What? Has that ever happened? Where it's like that?
This is like out of a fucking movie.
What? That's amazing.
It's crazy. So Houston's going to be, filled with Philadelphia fans, which, I mean, it's probably better here than there right now in Philly, but that's nuts. Straight up a movie.
Wow, that is. The reason I was telling you about that is I met a woman while we were there. And
At the game or the...
at the game.
Okay, we're just...
So we were, I guess, in Mattress Max
Sweet.
Suite. But Michael Berry was the one that had the tickets to give away to friends and family.
Gotcha,
I guess that's how it was. Mattress Mac was not there, but I saw this lady sitting there, and she had the biggest Republican elephant necklace. Like it was like you have a charm, but it was like this big. I was like, damn.
GOP till she dies.
Talking about, I don't give a fuck. Like you know what I claim, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
a gangster. I really saw her that way. I was like, holy smoke. She's like,
little white lady.
what's up? So we get to talking, and it's kind of what I talked to you about before when I called you.
Yeah.
And she starts name dropping, which I don't know any of the names that she was talking about. And I just kind of I was like thinking to myself, wow. I was like, okay. But what stood out to me the most, okay, was that she said, do you shop at blah, blah, blah place? And I said, no, actually I don't. They're like, well, it's conservative owned, right? And then it's like, do you go here? It's conservative owned. And I said, you know what? I told you this. If as Hispanics, we supported each other because we're infamous for starting businesses.
Right.
I mean, that's the American dream, right? You come here, you start a business, and you're hoping it's going to take off and you're going to live the American dream. If we did more of supporting, I think the world would be in trouble.
Yeah.
I think we'd own banks. I think we'd own a lot of stuff, if we stuck together that way. And it made me think of that because of her saying how, she supports other like-minded businesses and so forth. And I just feel like if we did more of that, just as a whole, these big corporations would also be in trouble,
Yeah, I agree.
And I think
Community.
it would exactly. It goes back to community 100%. And basically same thing at the church is kind of what they talked about at the women's conference. It's like, we've got to stick together. They will be in trouble. And then, on Sunday, they had Allie Beth. They did like a Q&A for her at the early service. We didn't go to church, but we watched it on TV. And one thing the pastor said, which I agree. He said, if there were more apologetic politicians, I think if they were more like real and vulnerable to where they would admit when they made a mistake, when they would admit that something's not going to work, right? I think it would just be a better place, right? Because now people would be like, well, you know what? I appreciate that I don't agree with him, but I will appreciate the fact that he did say I was wrong, or, you know what I'm saying? That's not correct. Or actually, you know what I'm saying? I think that people would be more like, about politics and probably pay attention. And now I feel like we probably would be voting on things that matter to us, right? Because we're hearing them more black and white, right? Because they use this jargon to where you're always like, okay, let me go look that up because I'm not really sure what that meant.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Or what does that have to do with the other? That's interesting. Well, yeah, because it's the history from blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like so much of that. But I went on like a little weird this weekend, like, because I was sitting there and then I told Christy too, I said, you know what's even weirder is like that there's another seminar happening right now speaking the total opposite of what we're listening to, saying that the Christians or the conservatives, right, are whatever you want to label them, evil.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are,
they're detriment to the
phobic
country.
of whatever, and they don't agree with this and they don't agree with that.
But that's always happened throughout history, right? There's always been bad ideas, and sometimes they get further than we would like to admit that they got in history, depending on what time of history you're looking at. But what I wanted to bring up too, there was a rapper. It was a rapper and athlete. I can't remember who it was. I try not to get lost in reels and shit, but sometimes you just get lost in that 5, 10, 15-minute rabbit hole of scrolling, and it's just I try not to do that. But regardless, I found a good one. There was a rapper he was talking about. He was out of the country somewhere else. He goes, what's crazy about other countries versus Americans is that when we as Americans go to another country, let's say we're touring or whatever they were doing, they look at us as Americans. Mm-hmm. They don't look at us as, I'm a black guy, that's a white guy, that's a brown guy, right? We're Americans.
Correct.
Here, that's a black guy. We don't look at each other as Americans. That's where, if we started there, like looking out for fellow Americans in America, we could probably start inching our way towards more of the minutia of the schools and the kids and school choice and, trans and all this other shit. We don't even look at each other as what we are, which is we're a people of Americans. Other countries are their people. The Swedes are people. They're a people. Here in America, it's so individualized that we've all forgotten that we are Americans,
And did you hear the Anthony Kiedis, or how you pronounce his last name, from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No, but I hope it's great because I love the Chili Peppers.
I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers too. I didn't finish it, but one thing that he said is that the reason he loves America is because we're a melting pot of different cultures, right? Versus when you go to Italy, they're all Italians,
right?
Versus when kind of like basically the same thing you're saying right now, you know? And it's crazy, right? Because that's exactly how they see us, you Americans, right?
But Americans can't see each other that way.
Exactly.
And that's honestly 95% of the awful, but 95% of the media's fault.
Yep. 100%, not 95. I think it's 100. But did you hear the story about a girl named Yeli or Yaeli? I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but if I look at it, one second. So check this out. Hispanic family in California. Daughter is super happy growing up, very girly, all of the above. And she all of a sudden just starts to, tell her mom that she doesn't, Yaeli is her name. And so the mom lost custody of her daughter because a psychologist at her school suggested that her home was unfit for her because they weren't going along with her wanting to start taking the, I guess, hormones to transition into male. So she comes to the mom and starts to say, like, I don't feel like a female, blah, blah, blah. She's like, what are you talking about? She's now teens. So I think it started at 16, but I'll send you the video so that you can post it. But I think I posted it in the Discord as well. Okay. So anyway, so she talks about how she comes to her. So she's like, I want to be called Jay. So the mom's like, okay, we'll call you Jay. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how you feel. Fine, And then it went to, I no longer want to be called Jay. I want you to call me Andrew. And so she was like, okay, you're going too far now. Like, what's going on here? Why all of a sudden? So she has another daughter who's in high school with her. And she notices that her daughter now starts, like, she seems more depressed. She doesn't know what's going on. And, but she was going to an LGBTQ, I guess, like, group at school, like almost like, how they have different groups at school that you can join, like a club, right? And so she said that her daughter said something along the lines of like, oh, she stopped going to the LGBTQ group meetings, and I think like they're harassing her or something along those lines. So she's like, what? What's going on? Anyway, so she was already seeing a therapist at school and a therapist outside of school that the mom found for her, okay? The mom trying to do her best. And so at the school, now this little girl's talking to her school counselor or whatever. They sent her to a therapist. And the therapist suggested that the home was no longer a great home for her. So now they put her in foster care while she's taking these pills to transition into male. The mom is given a 1-hour visitation per week. And so the mom's now like, okay, I'm going to follow all the rules that I need to follow so that I can get my daughter back. Because there was nothing that she could do. Because California law says.
What a joke. What a joke. This is what I was talking about earlier. Make sure you're in a state where your morals align with whoever's running the place.
So now the daughter's been taken away. She's still suffering from depression. The hormone treatments are not doing anything better. They're not helping her, right? So she gets a dog because she's feeling down, right? And so she still doesn't feel that great. Doesn't do anything for her. So she said one day, and I remember the date exact, she said September 4th. She said that she felt this really strange pain in her chest, like just a huge pain. She couldn't figure out what the pain was for or why it was happening and where it was coming from. So she said she just decided to text her daughter, and her daughter said, oh, how was your day? And she said, good. She's like, okay. So she felt better that the daughter responded. So she's like, okay, so it's not my daughter. I don't know why I have this like weird feeling, you know? And so then she asked her another question, and now the daughter stopped responding. And she said, oh, I thought maybe she had jumped in the shower. Like she got busy, so I didn't think nothing of it. It wasn't until she got a call the next day. She was dropping off her son at school, and they asked, and here's my point. They asked, are you the mother of Yaeli? Not Andrew. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, should you pass away, your remains are still going to be a female, regardless of how you feel.
Right.
Okay. So they're calling asking if you're the mother of Yaeli versus Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, they said AKA Andrew. So, AKA Andrew.
Okay.
So she says, yes. Long story short, her daughter commits suicide, kneels on the railroad tracks as the train is coming so that she can.
Oh my God.
Because there was nothing that was making her feel this, whatever it is that she was missing. And she doesn't know where it started. She's like, my child was a happy kid. My daughter was a very girly girl. And it was whenever she started getting on social media when she started noticing the changes in her kid, right? My heart broke for her because if there's anything you're terrified of is your child being influenced by social media, right? In this time and age that we're in, you know? And so now she says the LGBTQ community used her is how she feels, right? And they used her to get more money. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Not surprised.
And they don't allow, she said, if you gave parents the tools, instead you claimed that she was going to die on my watch. She was going to commit suicide on my watch because I wasn't understanding this transitioning stuff.
Yeah.
But she died on their watch because nothing that they were doing or anybody was doing was helping her feel this, I guess, whatever it was, this missing piece that she was feeling or whatever the case may be. We don't know, you know? And so it's really sad. I just think y'all should go watch it, make your own opinion of it. But it made me super sad that a mom had no control. She said the lawyer, that she just didn't have a good enough lawyer for this. She basically was made to look like the bad mom. And I said, this is the problem we're having. And then you have this little boy, Dylan, you know, talking about 100 days in girlhood. Like, how weird is that? Girl, are you a girl?
I thought it was I first saw this dude's stuff months ago, and I thought it was just somebody trolling.
Totally, me too.
Yeah, like the guy that trolls all the jab stuff with the beard and the hair.
Because it's so over the top.
Yeah, it's like they're making a parody of what they think women are, right? As if you were making fun of them.
Yep, that's how I took it at first.
That's how I took it too.
I didn't know that. So he made his big bang during the pandemic.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Prior to that, he used to make videos about animals. No one cared about that.
Yeah.
Then, all of a sudden, he does this thing called transitioning into girlhood and goes fucking viral on TikTok.
There you go. I mean, there's a common denominator here in some of the problems we're talking about. This actually is a perfect time to cue up this quote that I've been wanting to say. It's a Plato quote. This is a quote, and then I'll say what people usually refer to it as. But Plato says, the punishment which the wise suffer who refuse to take part in government is to live under a government of worse men. So essentially, you know, people always say, get involved, and vote. But we don't want people that aren't informed to vote. We want people who know what the fuck they're talking about, or at least are well-versed in the subjects or policies of their local government to vote. Otherwise, you have all the dummies that get pandered to and then fall guilty, or they're just susceptible to whatever lies and manipulation the media feed them. They go vote, and then you're outnumbered because there's more dummies typically than well-informed people. Unfortunately, that's just the truth. Sorry if I triggered you, but that's just truth. Too many people are uninformed, dumb, gullible, and then they go vote because they said so, and because Dylan Mulvaney said, you know, our lives are on the line here. And then the well-informed people who are taking care of their families and working, they're not voting because they're fucking busy.
100%.
It's fucking crazy.
100%. It's insane. I mean, I was one of those people that just went to go vote because I was a Democrat, so I might as well just vote all Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to know about anybody, right? The Democrats are always right anyway. So that's kind of how I saw it. That's just how I voted.
Dude.
Even now, Rob, I still feel like, I mean, I don't know that I'm, like I've always said this, if there was a great president that was running or someone, like I always use Tulsi Gabbard as an example because that's what I know what a Democrat is somebody more of her, right?
Okay. Who no longer, by the way, is one.
Who no longer is one. Yeah. She's like, fuck y'all. And I don't blame her for that. And it's an obvious reason why. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and yeah, like she said, it kind of sucks because you can only vote two ways at the voting booth. You know, it's either one or the other. Even if you're kind of in the middle about certain things, you still have to pick and choose which side you're going to be on. You know, obviously, you knew that I was more conservative than I was.
then I knew more than you knew.
Yeah, when we'd have conversations, you'd like, but I'm not Rob.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, bro, all right. Don't,
Rob,
no me regañes. No me regañes.
Remember, I used to be there and I used to be like, no, Rob, that's incorrect. You're like, no, actually, that's very conservative if you think about it. I'm like, okay, Rob, whatever you say. This was at the very beginning, guys, when we were doing
just what did he said?
What did he said? Yeah,
but I never pushed on it.
Yeah, you didn't. You were just like, okay,
that's cool.
Yeah,
because I was a nice person.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? It's interesting the things that we're dealing with. It's interesting. The stuff that we're seeing happen, what we're finding okay, what they're trying to make us be okay with. You know what I'm saying?
Slippery slope.
It is. It's like I don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore. But what I do know is that wherever it is that you stand, if you're listening to me, if you listen to me for whatever reason you do, right? Wherever it is that you stand, whether it be on the left or the right or the middle. Like Rob said, be informed for the sake of knowing and understanding. And don't tell me that it's been this way for years. I hate when people say that. This isn't new news. This has been happening.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. But so if we continue to have the mentality, we'll never move forward, right? And it just takes a few people to just kind of say, all right, well, that was in the past. You know, we're going to try to make it different and make it, you know, look at things differently. I think that it starts with small change by some of us just working together and agreeing that this is not what we want for our children. This is not what we want for our country. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you side with either side. It's just principles. And I don't know a parent going through a child transitioning because we've only had an adult on here talking about transitioning, right?
Right.
So I don't know an actual parent who's going through this, but I will say that if you are a parent allowing this to happen to your 6-year-old, your 5-year-old, I feel like maybe you should also go seek like some kind of counseling yourself, because for you to be okay, you wouldn't let your son or your daughter smoke a cigarette at 6, would you?
Fuck no.
Okay. So then why would you allow your son or your daughter to start taking this foreign thing to mutate or change or whatever it's going to do to their body, right? How are you okay with them starting to transition? Because who said they're going to commit suicide? Why does it always have to turn to suicide? If we're talking to our kids, if you're explaining things to your kids, and this is how I see it. If you're as a parent, I feel like you know when your child is like, okay, my child may end up gay, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You as a parent know. You know your child's mannerisms, you know your child, what your kids do, right? So until your child is old enough to make a real decision, you as a parent, in my opinion, should do your best to just kind of like not fight it, right? Because I feel like speak
for yourself.
Well, but I also don't. You know how it is. Okay. You rebel when you're and that's the last thing you want.
Hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, and so I feel like if there's more of an open communication, so if your child,
that's number one.
Number one. And this is discussed. Like well, why are you feeling like this? What happened? Did someone do something to you? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, who told you about this?
Yeah.
Did you see it somewhere? Because a child's mind is so innocent. I don't care what anybody tells me.
So feeble too.
Totally.
Can we agree that communication is probably the overarching thing that's wrong with all of America right now?
Yes.
In the household, outside of the household, in government, in our schools, at our workplaces, and our remote work from home places, just lack of communication.
100%.
It's crazy.
That's what Marissa says. Conversation rules the nation.
That's right. And to quote her also, since she's not here, and I say this all the time, follow the money. All these stories you've mentioned, somebody has gotten bags on bags on bags from all these kids who are,
especially all those taking the fucking treatments to transition, the shots, all those things. What I hope doesn't happen to a lot of these parents, which I feel like they will, right? I think there's very few that are happy 100%, like the Blair White girl.
She's great. She's officially a she.
She's a she.
Yeah.
But I feel like she also waited until she was an adult to make an adult
full-blown
decision.
as adult.
Exactly. And she felt like this is what I wanted to be and this is what I want to look. But you're an adult now. You're no longer causing this. I don't think it's easy at any point, but I feel like when your child's an adult, I think it's like kind of like, well, they're an adult now. Fuck do I do? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not paying their bills. They're paying their own bills. You know, they're not under my roof anymore. It's kind of like.
But also, you can't expect your parents to just be immediately okay with
like,
it.
what's up? Yeah. No, exactly. It's just like when they're dating someone you don't like, and they don't live in your household. You're like, fuck, I have no control of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, dating that dumbass kind of thing, right? It's the same thing. It's like now they're no longer in your household. They've made this decision, but I think she's one of the few, and she'll tell you she continues to go to therapy. She's constantly having to be right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, as right as she can be.
But I feel like there's very few of those who have transitioned that are 100% happy. Because I feel like she's happy 100%. I don't know her, but she calls out anything where she's been, ridiculed for.
Like she goes in on these.
She goes in on them.
On these. Who were we just talking about?
Dylan.
Dylan, yeah.
She goes in,
people.
yeah, and it's because it's like a lot of things. The things that she has said is, I waited till I was an adult. Like, this was my own money. This was like me. I talked to my parents, I've always felt this way, blah, 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 blah. She's very open. And I think that that's kind of what you need. Like a real transgender person who's honest. Not like parents are assholes for not letting them do it at 4. No, bitch, your advice should be, you know what I'm saying? Wait till your child is old enough, because Penny is Wednesday one day, and the next day she is wanting to be a witch, okay? Because she's hocus pocus the next day, all right? So one day she's not smiling at me because she's Wednesday right now, mother. I'm sorry, not mom, mother. So mother, I'm Wednesday right now. So the fact that they can't make a decision of, they plays too much one day, right now her favorite color is blue because she it reminds her of mermaids in the water.
Shout out Blue.
Okay.
Can we agree too that, and because you've been super observant and everybody listening probably of just what's going on, that it's kind of our own fault that politics is seeped into everything. This show wasn't primarily supposed to be very politically driven, but everything is so culturally driven by politics that now.
Let me find out you were sitting in our conference, Rob.
What do you mean?
That's exactly what they said.
Okay, elaborate.
They just said everything is political now. Nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Nothing we do is non-political.
Unfortunately,
everybody wants to turn something political.
Yeah.
It's like, don't drink the water because now, whatever it is. That wasn't even a good example, but you know what I mean? It's like everything turns political, and I don't even know when this is going to stop. And it's like, they were kind of talking about this, that eventually there will be family again. Eventually, we won't have to be fighting. I'm like, when is that eventually? I was waiting for the punchline, which was, I thought
in the next 2 years.
No, I thought she was going to say because in the Bible, it says, I don't even know how to say it in English, but no habrá más llanto, no más tristeza, ni más dolor, right? In heaven, right?
Okay.
So
we need Armageddon to happen?
so that's what I thought she was going to say.
God damn.
I thought she was going to say, we'll see this again,
All right, it's time to reset,
Well, yeah,
everybody.
exactly.
Blow out the cartridge on the NES
Exactly.
game and restart the system.
Basically, that's what I thought she was going to
Jesus.
say, but she was making it seem like we'll have this again. And I'm thinking, oh, before God comes? You're saying-
No, boo-boo,
I
as you
was
would say. He's got to get here and
I think he needs to come now because we
Clean
are
slate.
so doomed. Like, there's nothing right now that I feel, man, here's my thing. And I really want Alexandra to win.
perfect setup, Marisol. You are a professional. I'm going to play this video, and then we're going to get into a deep dive of this on Friday's Patreon episode.
Sure,
okay?
let's do it.
So I want, because you haven't seen this apparently. I think the
have not.
Chronicle did this. Okay, the Chronicle did this,
And let me, I
go
want to
ahead.
know who at the Chronicle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they they said Alex was in the, like, they were suggesting for you to vote for her, bro.
Were they
The Chronicle was. Can you believe that?
to vote for Lena? You mean?
No, for Alex.
Really?
Yeah, I got to show you that
Okay.
shit.
Okay. Well, so watch this. Watch this. Let's watch this
Listen,
video.
I wasn't supposed to be cussing anymore.
Bro,
Just-
you've let. We need a jar. We need a her jar.
I told
a her
you.
cursing
Yes.
jar.
The Chronicle wrote this, that somebody who believes these election denying claims is at some point a concern, maybe even dangerous, and we saw it with January 6th. And so I want to ask if you will acknowledge here and acknowledge publicly to your supporters that is unequivocal that Joe Biden won the 2020 election.
Is Biden fairly elected, or is President Trump still president? I mean, you can't answer that?
No, Biden's president.
Okay.
So but publicly and was fairly. I mean, she said he is president. He didn't say he won, and the fact
Some
that he's
people
pushed
don't
it this
believe
far.
that he is the
least-
president.
Okay,
He's
well,
the president,
anyway,
and personally, I think the media had a bigger role than anything with elections in the treatment of the Hunter Biden story. I have not seen any evidence of widespread systematic scale, and that's why I think for Lena, her role should be in Harris County, supporting the audit, letting people see.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. People want to know.
You're
You
saying
don't know.
you've seen no evidence of widespread voter
So,
fraud?
yeah, and that's why I think it's fair that people are asking for an audit to just put it to bed.
Look at her stupid face.
Oh,
my
wait,
God,
wait.
it's
No, I'm
incredible.
saying in Harris County.
Stupid
Harris County,
face.
yes, okay. So, what, Lena, is that not sufficient? She's saying.
No, I
he's
said
president?
acknowledge that he duly won the 2020 election
Sounds
and
like Joe
acknowledge
Biden.
it publicly. And I mean, I don't know.
But see, it's just, I'm not
Well, I'd
going
love
to
for her
keep
to
framing
say-
the exact
Is she
way
gonna
that I.
say-
She's saying there's no
Listen.
evidence of widespread voter fraud
So,
that would
yeah, and that's
change
why
the
we should
election.
have an audit
Right.
to that point, so that if there is an issue, then people see it. But right now,
Wait, you're saying an audit, okay, I'm sorry, I'm assuming you mean the state audit that's been
Yeah, for
ordered.
Harris County.
Okay.
and that's
But
why I
what is
don't
that?
understand, as you county judge, why are you fighting that?
Look, Lisa, we can disagree on whether it's enough. I don't think it is. I think, I mean, I never
my
thought
whole
I'd be
point, but I'm not
working
gonna
on
dance for-
democracy in the United States.
So,
I
Lena,
never
you've
thought
gone
I'd
and
be working
publicly
on this
said that
issue.
SP1 was election suppression over and over. Now, you truly believe that we are suppressing the vote here in Harris County? I mean, that is a very intellectually dishonest. Every data shows we have record voting in primaries. I vote in Moody. I'm probably one of the few Republican votes in Moody Park. It has never taken more than 5 minutes. We have 2 weeks of early voting. Show me where in these last things that SB1 has made it so burdensome.
Exactly.
Bro,
You dumb whore.
is she autistic?
I just can't stand her.
Bro,
I can't. And then her cara de pediche.
Yeah, what the fuck? And she keeps asking about the fucking 2020
My booty
election.
hole hurts right now.
Whoa, okay. Dude,
I'm constipated.
she does look constipated.
Look at that face.
God, I just wanted to show you that so that people that are listening now can tune in on Friday if you're not already a patron, because we get pretty loosey-goosey on Friday episodes. But it's
I'm
about
really
to have
about
a,
to talk about her right now. My blood pressure just went up thinking about her.
This video.
Guys, I beg of you. I beg of you. If you are going to go vote on November the 8th, please, please, please listen. Just because the camera can't get me on my knees, but I'm begging you to please do your research on whoever you're going to vote for. I beg of you, if you want any change for our state, for Harris County, my G, if you're tired of getting stabbed, if you're tired of getting robbed, if you're tired of hearing about someone getting hurt, road rage, You have got to make different decisions. Do not just vote one way because that's what you've been told to vote, or because you've always been a Democrat, or because you've always been a Republican. If Lina Hidalgo, I'll be honest with you, if she was actually doing shit for my city,
Yeah, give her the props she deserves.
I'm going to give it to her 100%, because I give props where props is due. I am one who I'm one who like,
'Cause you're a good
damn,
person.
that bitch did that. I'm one who recognizes that.
Even Marisol doesn't like somebody. He's like, man, that bitch did that.
Exactly. Because you got real recognize real.
Tell
like
'em.
Bum B says.
Tell
real
'em.
recognize real.
So you just saw this video, right? And I almost forgot this, but this is the tweet that Lina Hidalgo tweeted after that video. Look at the caption. That feeling when someone does a simple or dodges a simple yes or no question when asked if Biden won fair and square. That's what she decided to tweet, and she decided to tweet from
I'm
that.
so glad someone said, you are desperate. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
She cannot win, guys. We cannot let her win. I don't care if she's Hispanic. So is the other girl.
Yeah, technically.
She's Cuban.
Yeah.
So if you're going based on race, because that's who you relate to, then look up Alexandra and look at all the wonderful things. Listen, even ABC News posted it on their thing on Instagram. You should have seen the comments. Even people who were Democrats were saying on there, we cannot have Lena again.
Yeah.
If you're having your own crew, right, your own gang saying you're not doing your job, it's time that you recognize it.
Yeah.
You have to recognize it.
But she doubles down instead.
And they're doing this investigation on her, and she acts like it's not happening.
Yep.
She just said she went to her OBGYN. She tweeted this, okay? Lina Hidalgo says she's going to her OBGYN. She went to her, and he said that there's more 15-year-olds getting IUDs, which is why she was going to continue to fight for abortion. Wait, what?
Can you make sense of that?
What are you talking about? So if they're getting IUDs, it's because they're not trying to get pregnant, you dumb whore. So what does abortion have to do with birth control?
Well, you heard what Stacey Abrams said. People that have kids are worried about the cost of gas and the cost of food, so it's better that you just do away with them.
God, and if anybody is actually falling for that, I'm going to plead that you go read, educate yourself, man. Knowledge is power. And don't watch reels or TikToks on a fucking matter. Please don't. Read something that's real. Read about their background. Read about their family, their school, what they did, what they actually did in their community. AOC, ma'am,
She's
you
heckled hardcore over the weekend.
get the fuck out. Just get out. You're pointless. All you know how to do is be a bartender. The only reason, and here's the thing, this is how people, because we vote on heart vote versus here.
Yeah.
Well, damn, I do like her, but she's not doing anything. But this one's better, but I don't really like her because I just don't like the way she talks or whatever it is. We're humans. It happens. I get it.
Yeah.
AOC for me, I never like there. I remember someone sent me some video that she did. I think she went viral where she's like making a mixed drink,
cocktail,
cocktail, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, I could relate to her. What a best!" And I was just like, "Oh, that's interesting." Didn't think nothing of it, but that is my old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
Because I felt like you're a politician. Why are you doing this? This is so dumb. But that was me because there's certain things that I still like you should put on a suit and tie type of thing,
Yeah.
which I know is stupid, but I just kind of I was like, what a joke. Like, she's a politician.
pandering to her people.
I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't think anything of it because she's a female. I'm all about women empowerment. But I also recognize when a woman is not doing anything to benefit any of us. And
Yeah.
we all have to be able to recognize that, whether it is because you voted for someone because they're Hispanic, or whether you voted for someone because they're female, or because, you see them eye to eye on this one thing. I don't know that abortion is that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Polls show that it's not.
I mean, why are you making it like it's the number one thing that we need to
There's nothing else.
It's like there's so much bigger issues right now. Why is our crime so high? Bro, if Pete had to go get formula the other day because we didn't realize that she was out. It was 9:45. Whole Foods closes at 10. He had to go a little bit further than the Whole Foods by our house.
Yeah.
A mile more. The whole time my hands are sweaty. And I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You really should. I was like thinking like, how can I make this work? Like without having him to go. I'm like, can she drink Penny's milk? Because Penny still drinks chocolate milk. It's Mootopia. So I thought, she doesn't have cows. She only drinks goat. I'm like, shit, what do I do? I'm like, okay, go. And then this whole time I'm nervous as balls. My stomach is just dropped.
Oh my
That's how
gosh.
bad my anxiety is about going out past a certain hour, Rob. If it's not all of us together, you know, where I'm like, because I'm ready. I'm like, it's going to
Got your
go
back.
down.
Got your
Shit.
back, boo-boo.
Exactly. I already have the plan, like where these kids are going to go. Like, y'all need to jump in. I done taught Penny how to get in her seat now. So we are good to go.
Nice.
You know, these are conversations that I have with my 4-year-old, and I try to help her understand when we get in the car and we're by ourselves that I don't have time to talk to you, because she says, gosh, Mom, you're so rude. I'm trying to tell you something. Like, not right now, Penelope. When we get in, tell me, but not right now, bro. Daylight. We can't, even in broad daylight, you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? She's all like talking to me like, oh, well, school was great today. And then she tells me the other day, she's like, you always ask me how school is and you get mad because I tell you fine. And I'm trying to tell you today, this is a whole 4-year-old telling me this, Rob.
I know
okay?
that, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct. But when we're getting in the car, we just have to hurry and get in the car. I said, do you understand that? I'm like, because there's crazy people, and crazy people like to hurt people who
What if
aren't
she
crazy.
was like, my mom is being crazy right now?
Yeah, she probably did think I was crazy. And she's like looking at me. And so then she watched this video, which I didn't even know they still made YouTube videos like this, but it's a cartoon. It's called like Busy Buzz or something like that. Anyways, it talks about not opening your door to strangers.
Oh, okay. That's good.
And so, yeah. So she was like, Mom, so remember you told me the other day how about people are crazy and we got to be careful. I'm not supposed to open the door for strangers. I said, absolutely. You're right. She's like, so whenever we're walking, we got to make sure there's no stranger around us. I was like, oh, is that what it had to take? I had to use the word stranger. I mean, I don't know
danger.
what, you know, I was like, oh my God. But yes, if you're listening to this, to the however many amount of people,
That tune in on Wednesdays.
yes, for you to please, you know, get in there and, you know, try to,
I believe early
Just
voting already
read up.
started too.
early voting
voting
on the
started.
24th. Today. Today's the 24th.
Oh, today, yes.
Is today the 24th?
Yes,
Today's
yes.
the first day.
Yep.
So,
So by the time you hear this, early voting is up and going. Look up where you can
yes.
vote
and go. And just before you go in and make your decision, just please read up on both candidates. Read up on Lena, read up on Alexandra, and then think about how they all are working together and why she allowed this money to be used the way it did. There's no questioning you think that it was okay? Do you really think that that was okay for her to do that?
be honest with yourself.
Just be honest with yourself. Like, put aside whatever way that you vote or whatever relatable thing that you have with her, and just think about your kids and think about the future and think about your city.
And think about the fact that the lockdowns were no government decision. It was actually a think tank out of Rice University that convinced her to make the orange, red, yellow in lock city down. It had nothing to do with government. It had all to do with a privately funded think tank. But that's for another episode.
That's for Friday. On that note, thank you guys so much for listening. See y'all Friday.